Today I wanted to take a look at the XFCE version of LinuxMint 20, or the beta version, and just kind of look around because Linux Mint has always been the distro that if someone were asking me about uh, just wanting to get into Linux and stuff like that's always been the recommendation that I've made, is to install Linux Mint. It's super easy. It's it's easy to install, it's really easy to use, and you don't have to use the terminal if you don't want to. And I've always just made the comment along with that I really do recommend learning to use the terminal, because I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't. But with that being said, let's take a look at it. All right, so here we are on the desktop, and all I've done is create a virtual machine after downloading the ISO and booted the ISO. I'm currently using Virt Manager right now, and I just kind of want to take a look at it and just kind of go through an install and just show how easy Linux Mint is. And I kind of want to talk about the things that are going on with Linux Mint now. So once you boot into the ISO, you get a nice live environment. This is the XFCE version, so it gives you an XFCE desktop on the live environment. We double click the install Linux Mint icon, and this is going to be really easy. So we speak English, we hit continue, or I speak English rather. I have a English keyboard. Hit continue. I do want the multimedia codecs. I do want to erase disk and install Linux Mint. And right now it's going to give me two partitions. Hit continue. And I am not in the New York time zone. Chicago, that's good enough. Now, for my computer's name, I'm just going to call this an LM beta. And the password, I'm going to log in there with my super secure password that has nothing to do with Doctor Who. It has nothing to do with Doctor Who, I promise. And now it's just going to go through the rest of the install. Now, Linux Mint 20, the beta, is of course based on Ubuntu 2004. As all of the Linux Mint releases are based on the Ubuntu LTS. And Ubuntu has started kind of sneaking in some snap applications on you. And Linux Mint apparently really did not like that, because they have not included any snap packages on the ISO, and they've actually gone out of their way to not let people install snaps by default, which I agree with them by not putting snaps on the system, but I don't necessarily agree with it that they go out of their way and block snaps from being installed at all. But there is definitely a workaround, and I will show that. But I just kind of want to look around the system once everything gets installed, and until then, I'm just going to pause the video and I'll catch you in just a second. And that didn't take very long. So the system is installed now, so I'm just going to hit restart. And we're going to see how Virt Manager handles a reboot. Because last time I did this, it did not want to do the reboot correctly after the initial system was installed, I actually had to stop it and then start it again. All right, so all I did was force off of the machine and hit run again in the Virt Manager. So hopefully this will work. All right, and we are at the login screen. So let's type in our super secure password that has nothing to do with Doctor Who. And let's fix the resolution. I guess I need to start paying more attention to what I click. And we have a welcome dialog here that pretty much tells you, welcome to LinuxMint, and it gives you the first steps that you want to do. You can turn on, you can go to a dark theme, light theme. I like the dark themes, so I'm just going to toggle that on. You can set up system snapshots, which I definitely recommend doing, even if it's just a USB hard drive or something like that. You can get those super cheap, and it's well worth doing. So definitely recommend just getting an external hard drive or something like that to plug in, and you can actually create snapshots of your system on that, and you'll have an easy restore point from there. You have a driver manager, an update manager, of course, system settings, software manager, and firewall. And you can launch all of these things from here. LinuxMint has really good documentation. And let's go through here and look at the new features. All right, so new features include Warpinator, and Warpinator is a way to share things over your network from one LinuxMint system that's running Warpinator to something else that's also running Warpinator. But truthfully, man, I have a NAS box, so I mean, this is a really cool feature if you don't have a central location to store things on your network. Let's see, NVIDIA Optimus. So if you have hybrid graphics, this right here will definitely be a great feature to have. See, they have made improvements to the tray. Let's see, the XApps improvements. Apt recommends are enabled by default for newly installed packages and not upgrades. Okay. Snapd is disabled by default, and app packages are not allowed to install it. So this one right here is the thing that I really don't agree with so much. I mean, if you don't want to include snaps on the ISO or on the initial install, that's great. That's 100% your choice. But also, not allowing them to be installed is also your choice. But I'm not 100% sure that it is the right choice, because even though I'm personally not a user of snap packages, they do have their place. Or just any kind of containerized package format that will run in its own little environment, like with all its dependencies and everything, with say snap packages or app images or flat packs or what have you. They do have their place, and it includes features from XFCE 4.14 and Linux kernel 5.4 and the Ubuntu 2004 package base. So it's a definite upgrade from the kernel all the way through to the desktop environment. Well, anything that's XFCE, you can customize it pretty easily. So let's say you wanted to move this bar to the top. That's really easy. just go to panel preferences. And this panel is locked. So you can actually click this button to unlock the panel, and you get a handle here. And you can move that right to the top. And then lock the panel back. And there you go. And let's say you wanted to change this icon here for the whisker menu, which is a wonderful addition to the default desktop, in my opinion. You can just click properties, and you can change the look of the whisker menu, as well as change the panel button, the behavior of it, different commands that it can run, and even search actions. So whisker menu is fantastic. I highly recommend using it. But let's say I want to change the panel button. All I do is go to panel button and click the icon. And then I wanted to, let's view all the icons. And I don't know, I'm just going to pick a random one. Let's say, I don't know, let's put the beaver up there. Why not? And the applications that come installed by default, you get Firefox, Thunderbird, Pix for organizing images, Rhythmbox, calculator, text editor would be Z. Let's see, your software manager. I'm going to get rid of that. And here you have a nice little software manager, as far as like a quote unquote app store. And this is a really nice graphic user interface to install programs that you want. And if we click about, it is mint install 8.0.4. And let's see, customize the appearance, of course. You have an archive manager, a backup tool, so you can, it's easy to make a backup of your home directory, which I do recommend doing, especially your configuration files and stuff that's in the like a .config directory. I have recently switched, just to try out anyway, I switched from Debian over to Dev1, and all I had to do was just move my .files over. It's pretty easy. I mean, even the OBS stuff, I didn't even have to set up anything with OBS. I just dragged my OBS config file off of a USB stick when I backed it up into the .config directory here, and everything just worked. So I definitely recommend backing up all of your files to a USB stick, especially if you're going to be distro hopping. Bulk rename, that is a wonderful tool from XFCE. If you wanted to, let's say you had a bunch of things that were similarly named with a date or something like that, you can either add characters, remove characters, add dates, just about anything, and it works really quickly. So bulk rename is fantastic. Catfish file search, celluloid, compiz, config settings manager, disk utility, display, the file manager, which would be Thunar, since it's in XFCE. You have a firewall config, a font config, or a font viewer rather, and you have the entire LibreOffice suite, which is great. Let's see, customize the panel, screenshot tool, settings editor, settings manager. And it also comes with the Synaptic package manager. And if you like a graphic user interface for package management, I've always recommended Synaptic over just about any other thing there, because it's old, it's tried and true, it's tested and retested, and it's been around a long time. It's not the most attractive program in the world, but it works, and works really well. let's see, time shift. Okay, it comes with transmission by default for torrents. It has a USB image writer, which is that's a really nice addition. Warpinator, welcome screen, web browser, and the XFCE terminal. All right, so and while we're in the terminal, let's run updates and see what's available. I know I downloaded this. I know I downloaded this several days ago, so I'm just going to run updates real quick and see if there's any available. Apparently there's 211 packages available. All right, so since we've taken a look around the system, let's take a look at how to get snap packages installed on Linux Mint 20. I personally don't use them, but if you wanted to run the newest version of Linux Mint and had a snap packages that you did want to run, here's the easiest way to go about it. So first we need to fire up the terminal. So what I'm going to do is actually do all of this in the terminal because, well, that's what I like to do. So we're going to cd into /etc/apt directory. We can run an ls there, and there is a preferences.d directory here, as well as your sources.list, your sources.list.d. So inside preferences.d, let's just go into that real quick. Inside preferences.d, when we run the ls command, we have a nosnap.pref file here. So if we do vim nosnap.pref, it's pretty much all comments, but we have 3 lines here that are keeping us from installing snap packages. So what I want to do is just quit out and then do sudo rm nosnap.pref. If we just remove that, now we can cd back and let's say sudo apt update, and that's just going to give us an updated list. So let's do sudo apt search or apt install snapd. And you see it is available in the repository, but it is blocked by the package manager by default. Before you delete that file, if you try to do sudo apt install snapd, it's going to say package not found, or package not available, or something to that extent. But after removing that file, as you see, we have snapd installed, and now we can install snap packages. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to show how that was done, and for anyone who wanted to have a snap package installed on Linux Mint 20, there is an easy way to do it. And I just wanted to show the steps to take to enable that feature, and you can install snap packages the normal way after that. But anyway, that's all I've got for today. Linux Mint is Linux Mint. It's a fantastic system, be it the Mate desktop, the XFCE desktop, or the Cinnamon desktop. It's really hard to go wrong. But even with the decision that was made to not include snap packages on the ISO, which was the right decision in my opinion, but even going out of the way to block snap packages from being installed in the system, there is a workaround for it. So if you did want to run snaps on Linux Mint 20, it is 100% possible, and it's pretty easy to do, actually. So like I said, that's all I got for today. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.